maximize your strength and muscle gains while minimizing your injury risk, you have to understand both what muscles you're working and the mechanics or the technique in order to recruit those muscles. And then as a bonus tip, to stay unapologetically in intensity and difficulty levels that allow you to maintain your focus on those muscles and your mechanisms. So today we're going to start off with the pull-up. Now, before you turn this off thinking, I don't have a pull-up, I'm going to show you some regressions. Before we get into that, quick introduction. If you don't know who I am, my name is Justin Cutler. I've been a full-time professional coach for 15 years. I founded Empower Inc. Coaching in September of 2022, and I specialize in helping 90s kids get their health back with minimal space, equipment, and time. All right, so back to this video. Again, if you don't have pull-ups, there are modifications. Many people in my program are still working on achieving their first bodyweight pull-up, and yet they're doing pull-up variations. And to this day, the checklist that I'm going to give you today is something that I go through every single time I approach a set of a movement. There is never a time where you won't benefit from being intentional with your technique. So let's get right into it. First, what muscle are you supposed to be feeling? This is important to know because if you don't know what main muscles are at work, how can you focus on doing it correctly? In a pull-up, the main muscle is called your lats, latissimus dorsi. It's the big wing muscles on your back. They start somewhere in your lower back and they attach up into your shoulder and they cover a majority of your back. Most people, when they first start the pull-up, they're going to feel it up here, more in your muscles called your teres major and minor. But really, you're just going to feel a little bit here, and then over time, through concentration and practice, you're going to feel it more and more across your back. Now, the mechanisms, and this is not the only way that you can recruit your lats, but it is the simplest and quickest way to get there. Number one is your posture. So we tend to live in a very rounded posture society with all of our screens that we have to use on a daily basis. In order to easily recruit your lats, we need to think the opposite. You want to think about pushing your chest up towards the bar. Now again, before everybody gets excited in the comments, this is not the only posture you can recruit your lats in. It's just the easiest one, okay? So after you establish your posture, now it's the technique. We want to think about two different things. Number one is your shoulder blades sliding down as you pull. A common fault, whether you're doing a pull-up or even a lat pull-down, is there's no attention paid to what your shoulder blades are doing. And now it's just an arm and a shoulder movement, and the lats take a back seat. So you want to initiate every single repetition by sliding the shoulder blades down and then finishing the rep. Okay, so we have the posture. Now we have the shoulder blades. And I'm going to show you one more technique point before I actually demonstrate it on the bar. So after you establish your posture and then your shoulder blades, from there, you don't just want to think about driving the arms down. You want to think about trying to touch the elbows together behind your back. Now, why is this an effective cue? If you look at the anatomical function of the lats, one of their main purposes in the body is to do what's called adducting the arm, or bringing the arm to the midline of your body. So when you think of it that way, now that cue starts to make sense. When we're trying to touch our elbows together behind our back, you are adducting your arm, which again recruits more of your lats. It's a lot to think about, probably more than you're used to, but welcome to real training. Something I tell my members all the time is there's working out and there's training. Working out is you're just in there to get it done and burn some calories, which there's nothing wrong with that sometimes. But when you're training, you are actively doing things to teach your body how to move properly. And then as a byproduct, you're building muscle and burning calories, okay? Technically speaking, you're breaking muscle down and burning calories, but you know what I mean. Okay, so let's get into some movement demonstration and some modifications if you still are working on getting your first pull-up. Okay, so the camera angle is a little wonky just so you can see the bar. Now, first of all, if you don't have access to a pull-up bar, you're going to need to do that in order to develop your first pull-up and work on this movement. So you can either do something like this where it's wall mounted, or if you want to go the less construction and cheaper route, get a doorway pull-up bar. Just don't get the one that stretches out and mounts like that. You want to get the one that actually curves up and around and rests on the molding of the door frame. It's a lot safer to have a pull-up bar. So anyway, I'm going to demonstrate a full pull-up and then how you can regress this. So every good pull-up begins with your grip. Okay, I know I didn't mention that in the beginning of the video, but if you can't grip it, you can't lift it. And so you want to really work on gripping the bar towards the middle of your hand. So how you do that is you actually are going to actively think about curling your wrists over the bar the whole time, and you want your knuckles to face towards the ceiling. Okay? It is easier and less painful in the beginning to grip with your fingers, but I can promise you, as someone that had to unlearn this grip and relearn this grip, once I started developing this, it was hard, but man, did my pulling strength take off. Okay, so it's going to take a little dose of humility to learn this, but it's going to be worth it. So there's a lot of different variations of pull-ups. Don't overthink that. Just start with a shoulder width grip or slightly wider than shoulder width. Again, get a deep grip on that bar. And then from there, I'm thinking about my posture. So I'm going to push my chest up towards the ceiling. I'm going to initiate by pulling my shoulder blades down. And then as I'm pulling up, I'm thinking about trying to squeeze my elbows together. And then back down. Okay, again. So chest up, shoulder blades down, squeeze those elbows together. Notice how I can talk while I'm doing that. I'm saying that not to show off, but to demonstrate that's the intensity level that you want to be learning these things in. An intensity level that allows you to focus on the quality of the movement versus like you're not going to learn anything besides pull-ups are hard by doing that variation. So let's go to some regressions. Okay, so I'm kind of holding the camera here, but I'm using a stack of weight plates to use some foot assistance in the pull-up. You can use a plyo box, a step ladder, your toddler's little step stool when they wash their hands. It really doesn't matter. You just need a sturdy surface, because what this allows you to do is take some weight off of your upper body, and so you can challenge your position and really focus on the muscles, which again, if you're trying to develop skill, you need to be willing to regress and make it a little easier in order to progress the skill of the better grip, the posture, and the activation in your lats. Okay, so let me demonstrate some reps and what this looks like with some foot assistance. Okay, so like I said, you're going to step on your sturdy surface. This also really allows you to work on your grip. So get your deep grip. That's the checklist item number 1. Okay, you want to feel it in the middle of your hands. Actively curl your wrists over the bar. And then you're going to bend your knees. Okay, but keep that grip. Now from here, we're going to push the chest up towards the ceiling, pull the shoulder blades down, and then as you pull up, you want to think about trying to squeeze your elbows together. Feel for that good lat squeeze, and then back down. Okay, again, chest up, shoulders down, and then squeeze the elbows together. Notice how I am holding the top of each rep for a few seconds. Holding that rep, first of all, ensures that you're in the right intensity level to practice these things, but also it allows you to really chew on that position to feel more of your lat muscles. So I hope this helps. Stay tuned for more of this series, because again, I promise you, this takes a lot of patience and some humility, because you might have to regress some of your movements, do lighter weight, do easier variations to learn this stuff. But it's a classic tortoise and the hare scenario. If you're willing to do that in the short term, in the long term, you will have way better strength and muscle development and way less joint issues. Share this if it helps, and I'll see you for the next episode.